Welcome, everyone, to Morning Magazine for this April 6, 2022. You have your host, James J. Malouf, here. Right now, we are joined by the Wood County Sheriff's Department. We have Sheriff Shawn Becker in with us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Always a pleasure to be here.
Also want to send a shout-out to Joe and our friends at Wisconsin Rapids Community Media. Thanks for being here, gang. Sir, how are you doing?
Doing well. Kind of bittersweet. One of my good friends just signed off on the radio from Wisconsin Rapids Police Department. Deputy Chief Brian Kraskowski has retired, and that kind of makes me think about how old I am, because we started our careers around the same time, and I was just got off the phone with him and kind of reminiscing about starting as police officers on the the patrol side of things, and then working our way up the ranks, kind of mirrored each other, and it's he had a great career. He finished second in command at the police department, and just a great leader, a great person, great family person, family man, and good luck. Great career, Brian. I don't know if you're listening, but it was a pleasure to work with you, and enjoy your well-deserved retirement.
We appreciate his service, appreciate what he did for our communities, and I got to say, it was kind of cool to be able to hear some of that.
Mm-hmm.
I felt very humbled to hear some of that. That was very cool. Is that traditional, being, or if you can doing something like that?
Yeah, it's usually up to the that officer or deputy if they want to do a last call sign off. Just to kind of appreciate the people that you worked with, and like I mentioned before, it's all about a team. It's not just the Wisconsin Rapids Police Department. It's our dispatch center. It's the fire departments. It's the sheriff's department. And when you look at almost a 30-year career, you look at all the people that you worked with. And like I said, it's always about a team. And that was one of the things we were talking about. You go through the ups and downs. You have changes in leadership, but then you see people that mirror their careers, and you work through that. There's always ups and downs, and that's not about leadership. It's just it's about part of the job.
Yeah.
It can be a very dangerous job, but we'll talk about it here in a little bit. But it also can be very, very rewarding. When you get the opportunity to help people in times of needs and making a difference. That's what it's all about.
Again, thank you to his service, and thank you for letting us hear some of that too. Appreciate
not a problem. If we could have timed it, Brian, like another
30
minutes, we could have done it live.
So close.
So I'll have a chat with him about that and his timing. But thanks for give me the opportunity to recognize him. That was important for me personally, because Brian's a great guy.
Where would you like to go next?
Tough night last night. Yeah. I'll try to work through this, but got a phone call from one of our lieutenants, Nadine, last night around 8 o'clock or so, and a Roseville police officer in Minnesota, a suburb of Minneapolis, was shot last night. And the connection to Wood County is he's from Wood County in the Wisconsin Rapids area. I'm not going to give his name out yet, because things are still fluid with the investigation, but the main thing is he's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. The phone call to me was because I knew him, I know him, know his family, and they wanted me, by his request, to notify his parents. So I did that. Very emotional, still very emotional to talk about, but big picture wise, he's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. Work through it. His family is with him. The Roseville Police Department, he's talked to his father, and they're extremely supportive. Their police chief was out of town, came back, and they're just waiting some medical advice on how they're going to proceed. But the main thing is he's going to be okay. Just for me, you reminisce about how you know the individual, and you get to know them, and then you kind of mentor them when they ask questions and when they're thinking about trying to get into law enforcement as a career. Which is humbling for me that I get asked, because this was a few years ago, and then just give the recommendations. Okay, this is what I would do. What schooling I would do, what kind of ways to get your name out there so you're more marketable to work for a law enforcement agency. And I was trying my best to recruit him to come to Wood County, but families first, and that led him to the Minnesota area, and I'm very proud of him for choosing the career. It's just hard to see him hurting, hard to see our profession hurting, and but we'll all work through it. We'll rally around, we'll move forward, and he's going to be okay. It's just a harsh reminder of how dangerous his job is. He was responding to, along with many other officers, to a shots fired call, and he was hit. But the community, just looking at a lot of the Facebook posts and just the support, even over in Minnesota, nothing against Minnesota, but just seeing the similar support that we had when we went through an incident like this. People backing the Blue and, thoughts and prayers going out to, the police department, to him, his family. That's humbling, but it's just like I said, a very harsh reminder of how precious life is and how dangerous this job can be at a moment.
And it gives us an opportunity to show our appreciation to our local officials, our local police department, our local sheriff's department, all of these things. Gives us an opportunity to do that. If you haven't already done it, it's a good chance to do it. I don't want to pry. I appreciate you telling us as much as you already did and sharing what you did. What I would like to do, if you don't mind, sir, is kind of, and I think it's the first time I've ever called you sir.
Now you're making me feel old.
That's the reason I don't call you sir. I would like to, in all seriousness, I've always been curious about this. I can't imagine how many times you have had to make calls like that. And in other situations because of other circumstances. Is that something that they prep you guys on in the early days of when you're training and learning to, figure out if you want to be a police officer or not, of that? Is there class work done on that subject of, hey, this is how to approach that situation?
Oh, that's a good question, because a death notification under any circumstance is the hardest thing for law enforcement to do, because normally either an incident happens locally and somebody passes. What's the first thing that we do when we're on scene? No matter what the circumstances are, the first priority is notifying the family, because now if you look at it, it's different from when I started in law enforcement a few years ago. What's the big difference? Social media. Now you have, people that are paying attention to the scanner. They know when there's a major incident going on, whether it's a vehicle crash and there's a fatality or a house fire that we just had recently. We have to, step up and make sure that we're notifying the family before somebody else does, or they see it, through a message on social media or something. So that's a top priority. How do you train for that? That's a good question. When I started my career and I went through, the law enforcement academy, they talk about it, but I distinctly remember going through interviews and people asking me on panels, like in Rock County, a long time ago, where they go, what do you think the toughest part of this job being in law enforcement? And I said, having to give a death notification.
Yeah.
You're going to have to tell somebody the worst news of where you would think it would be, the worst news of that moment, at least. And the biggest thing I say is compassion and listen. Don't, I don't know when they say beat around the bush, say what happened. And then be compassionate and listen and try to be very supportive. What a lot of law enforcement agencies will do, will have their chaplain involved, and we're very fortunate to have a chaplain program. We have Chaplain Dave Bratley, who makes himself available at a moment's notice for if there is a situation that we do need to make a notification. He'll make himself available. Or we'll reach out to either Wisconsin Rapids Police Department or Nakuso or Marshfield, whoever else has chaplains available. That's probably something throughout the years that we've been leaning on more and more, just to have that spiritual guidance. Whether the family wants it or not, it's there. That's a good question. I'll be honest, last night I didn't have any good words besides, saying, this is what happened. He's okay. I got the opportunity to talk to him while I was in the ER, which was, for me personally, helpful, because I know that, it made me feel like he's going to be okay. Now the department's got to go through not only that, but the incident itself and that investigation, which will take time. Again, being through a similar situation, people want answers now. You're not going to get them. You got to wait, let people get an investigation done. You don't rush it. You move through it. Right now, it's the priority of that officer getting through the situation, medically and then mentally, and then the law enforcement agency being there and being very supportive. And from what I'm understanding, talking with family, they've been absolutely extremely supportive of moving through the situation.
I have to be honest. It angers me to hear that. Not only what happened to that officer, certainly, but we put so much on that badge. We put so much on your guys' shoulders. And to learn that this is a task that every one of us that have ever watched a TV show understand that this is something officers do. But to learn that you guys don't have any help with that, that you don't have any training to go into that or anything like that, that angers me. I have no idea who I'm angry at, but it angers me that is one more thing that we're asking of our officers, but we're not helping with that. We're not giving us some assistance to that. And I don't have the answers. I don't know necessarily what to do about that, but I don't think that that's something that should just keep rolling the way it's been.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that maybe there should be a specific department to give that information, or at the very least there should be something to help young officers learn how to do that, so that when they get to your position, they have some training, they have something to lean on instead of just what's been handed down to you. That doesn't seem right. Now, I respect wholeheartedly that you guys take this on, that there's nobody making excuses or complaints or anything like that about it. It's me, a citizen, saying that stuff. But I feel like sometimes we as citizens have to get angry for you guys and have to get a little frustrated for you guys. It shouldn't be on you for this. It shouldn't be on you to be frustrated or angry. That's infuriating to me. We put so much on that badge, and here's one more thing to learn that we're doing. That ain't right.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, there's training out there, but like I said, I mean, nothing's perfect, especially under these circumstances, and it's just be to the point, be compassionate, and listen. That's the biggest thing that I could take away from any training. And then, like I said, look at your other resources out there and have them available. But no, it's still for me the hardest part of the job.
Yeah.
It's having to, especially when you know people. That's emotional, very emotional.
Can only empathize and imagine, but I do appreciate you sharing the information with us, and certainly appreciate what you do.
Thanks.
And all the other officers out there that have to do those things.
Just our thoughts and prayers with the Roseville Police Department and his family, and I know there'll probably be more information coming out very soon, so probably pay attention to our Facebook page, and we'll, if the family's okay with identifying him, we will, and because the community should know, as long as the family wants to know, because he's from here.
Well, it's something that I've come to find out when I've lived out of state and everything. It doesn't matter how far away you are, where you live. If it's happening to your community, if you're a community guy, it's happening to all of us. If you're hurting, we're all hurting. And I appreciate you sharing that information.
Yeah, thank you.
I did have something come up with talking to a couple listeners over the weekend, and I wanted to bring up with you because I told them that you'd be joining us today. In Portage County, they have a new thing that they have introduced where you can text 911 now. That you have the option to text 911, not just call. You can't text and drive. You have to send location and type of emergency. No abbreviations or slang, and they're asking that they don't abuse this service, certainly. But I'm curious of how you feel about that, and if you think that is something that we'll see in Wood County or anything going forward.
I wouldn't doubt you'll see it. You have to look at technology and the way people communicate. I go back, again with technology and how do most people communicate? They text. Yeah. So I think that isn't a bad thing, but you said it, nailed it right on the head. You can't text and drive. Unfortunately, people do, and they find themselves getting in trouble. But I think I don't think it's a bad thing. It's another opportunity for people to text in information of a complaint or just thinking out loud. You do have a crash, and you're able to text something really quickly to the dispatch center. If you're familiar with doing that, okay, then that information is going, and you might get a call back. You might get dispatch calling you back and saying, okay, how can we help? Where's the location if it wasn't clear? So looking at the technology aspect of things, I could see that happening at some point. Right now with Crime Stoppers, we do have text-to-tip. So I mean, that availability is somewhat there. If you want to report a crime and remain anonymous, you can do it by texting. So if it happens, I wouldn't doubt it. I really wouldn't doubt that. I did not know that. that was something that was moving forward, Portage County. But I'm not surprised by it. Just by the way, like I said, how people are comfortable. They could probably type faster than they can talk.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people communicate that way. So I think it's a good avenue to report things. It's a permanent record. It'll come in. That information's coming in. It'll be, pretty clear. It should be, depending on what the circumstances are. So I think at some point that could be a possibility in Wood County. But the Sheriff's Department doesn't oversee dispatch. Right. So that would be something our Sheriff's Department doesn't. Portage County does. But it'll be a good thing to discuss and to see if that's an opportunity or it'll be interesting to talk to Lori Heidemann, our dispatch manager, and see what her thoughts are on that. What do you think? But I know Crime Stoppers, we do get tips that come in through text.
And I don't know if it's just because of my experience in working with the Family Center or not, but when I think of this, immediately I think of the person who is in a situation where they can't necessarily call and have an audio conversation or anything because their abuser is nearby or something, and texting is a little more indiscreet and that. So
great point.
We'll see where this goes, but it's an interesting topic, and it's certainly something, like you said, that is going to be worth talking about at the very least.
Yeah, I could see it happening. It'll be interesting to see how it goes with Portage County, but that's a great point right there. Once you get out and market this, or at least make the public aware that you have this option, that'll take some time. I think that those circumstances that you just brought up are perfect to get the opportunity to text something on a situation where you can't talk. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Where do you want to go next, sir?
Recently, we had a tragedy 27 years ago of Deidre Week getting hit by a car on her bike riding home over by the Vesper area. It's still an open case that we're working on, but recently it's 27 years, and the public should be aware of it. The community, I know, is aware of it. And really what I'm asking, or what our department is asking for, somebody knows something. Somebody's living with something, and you should come forward. I this is a case that I know that a lot of people, the community is paying attention to it, and we're asking people to come forward. Somebody knows something, and it shouldn't just be on the anniversary date to bring, notice to it. But it's a situation that we've been working on for quite some time. So the family's been reliving this every day, not just the anniversary date, but every day, and they deserve closure of what happened to their beloved daughter. My heart goes out to them, and I won't make any promises that will solve the case. The only promise that we'll make as a team is that we're going to continue to work on it. And some leads have come in that we're following up on, but the information's out there. Somebody needs to come forward and tell us, so we can move forward with the case. But just something that I wanted to mention, that that tragedy 27 years ago, and we're still working on it.
I want to say it was like maybe a year or so before my family and I moved here. In that story that we heard about that when we come to the area and stuff, it's one of the first stories we heard moving into this area. And I can remember my mom and dad saying, "God, I can't wait! I can't wait to hear how they hope that this will be resolved for the family." And here we are, 27 years later, still waiting for that. And while the story, for people like myself may have faded in and out or whatever, it hasn't for the family.
No.
It's just as fresh as it ever was. And they deserve... the word closure gets kind of overused. I don't know if that's really a right word here. They deserve information. They deserve that. And as you said, somebody knows something.
Yep.
Somebody's sitting on something. If you are that person, if you know that person, there's no time like the present. And I don't want to talk about something I don't know, because we don't know what that information might be or what you might have to do with said situation. But it can only be made better by bringing it into the light. Nothing good will come of it being in the dark. Nothing has come of it over the last 27 years being in the dark. Only good things can come from it being in the light.
Yeah, it's something, you bring up great points, and how do you live with it if you're the individual responsible for it? I mean, I have thought about that a lot, and it's like I couldn't, I really couldn't. He cowardly fled the scene, and then you know what happened. You know somebody passed, and it was a child, and you have to live with that for as long as 27 years. I mean, I couldn't do it. That's just me,
No.
you know. And then, like I said, there's other people have to know something, you know, and do the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, do the right thing for the family. They deserve this. They've been living with it every single day of their lives since the tragedy happened. So please come forward.
Yeah.
You know, do the right thing.
I would say that if just myself talking here, this is not even just about our judicial system. I would think that if you're getting older, you're also worrying about the other judge.
You're right.
There's another judge that comes at the end of all of this, and you want to be right in that way. You know, come forward.
No, I agree. And if you know information, you know, there's ways to stay anonymous. You can, like we said, you could text it in and be anonymous. You can call Crime Stoppers or come down and see us. Ask to see me. Ask to see Lieutenant Scott Goldberg's doing just a phenomenal job, you know, running our investigation bureau. Very passionate about the case. You know, he lived in the Westbury and knew her, and he's been working on the case for years. We've got other people that are just going through the reports. You can imagine, thousands of reports. And we had Randy Doris come back to the department as a part-time employee. And one of the things he was interested in, again, he lived in the Westbury, and the passion's there to see this through, is, all right, hey, let me take a look at all the reports. You know, read them all from not only our agency, the Sheriff's Department, but other departments as well. DCI was very involved with this case and did a lot of work. And then just going through all the reports, hey, did we miss something? You know, is there something that we should, you know, maybe re-interview or just take a look at? So, you know, between the two of them, they're doing an outstanding job just looking through, all right, what more should we take a look at, or a second look, or a third, or a fourth look at? And I really appreciate Randy's eyes coming in, because he's several years he was an investigator. You know, we worked together, and awesome investigator. So I'm really happy and proud of the fact that he chose to come back just on a part-time basis to not only help us out with this case, but other stuff too at the department. So we really appreciate him taking the time out of his busy retired schedule to come back and help us out.
It's another one of those things we don't get to highlight very often, but I would say maybe it was a year ago when we were talking, we were discussing, and I think you brought somebody in from the cold cases that specifically focuses on that, and getting to talk about how so many officers, even when they're quote-unquote retired, have these cases that they don't let go of, and that they're not they're not getting a paycheck to keep in studying or anything, but they're not going to let it go.
No.
That just speaks to the character of the type of people that majorly put on that badge.
Yeah, no, and you're talking about Bob Lewandowski, who retired over 10 years ago, and Bob did come in on the radio show, you know, not too long, and to talk about, you know, not just this case, but other ones as well. And you know, I just met with Bob a couple days ago. We had lunch, and what do you think he brought up? He brought this case up. I mean, he's still living with it. He was part of, you know, that investigation team and oversaw our investigation, you know, unit at the time, and Bob did a phenomenal job. It was a pleasure to work for him. But you're exactly right. The passion is still there. He lived through it, you know, with the department at the time, and always will, and won't forget it. And that passion is there, and like I said, always will be. And he's not the only one. You know, there's a lot of people that work cases like this that they'll never forget them. And, you know, I can just say, you know, my experience as an investigator, same thing. You know, I could tell you about cases that I'll never forget, and why you don't forget it is when you deal with the victim's family. You know, I still communicate with some of them, and you know, you don't forget about that in this career.
We're going to take a quick break. We're speaking with Wood County Sheriff's Department Sheriff Shawn Becker with us, and also Joe from Wisconsin Rapids Community Media. Thank them both for being here on Morning Magazine at WFHR, locally grown radio. Welcome back to Morning Magazine for this April 6th, 2022. Your host, James, here. We're joined by Sheriff Shawn Becker and Joe from Wisconsin Rapids Community Media, and thank you both for being here. Shawn, where would you like to start?
Next, I know I've talked about this repeatedly on the radio, but it's always worth mentioning. We had our 11th class for crisis intervention training graduate. It's a week-long training, 40 hours that we host now. We've been doing that since 2016, and I'm always proud to talk about it because it's a great story, and I'm sure you already know it. But we had our 11th class go through, around 30 students of local law enforcement officers, primarily from central Wisconsin. So we're up to around 300. Oh. All of our department, as far as the patrol side of things, have gone through it. Now we're training our corrections officers because it's just as much needed in our corrections side of things as it is on the patrol side of things. But it's nice to see how that training has built throughout the years. How it's getting bigger and bigger, and more people from outside the area are starting to send their law enforcement officers here. We used to have to send our deputies out to Madison, Appleton, Rylander, and then it was really sitting down with primarily Katie Sis, who took a career change. She's a full-time police officer in Rome, but she's still heavily involved in coordinating this training. She's lucky that, or we're all lucky and fortunate that her police chief, Chief Lauby, wants her to continue to, coordinate this training. So we're really lucky. But no, we had our 11th class go through, and a huge shout out to Craig Boren, the superintendent from Wisconsin Rapids Public Schools. Always graciously lets us use East Junior High to utilize the training or to conduct the training. So no, I'm very proud of the fact that 11th class, and it just started off with a thought, an idea, and a dream to why not host it here. Why not connect our local law enforcement people with our local stakeholders, coming in and putting on the training. I went through parts of it this last week, and we always look for new information that we might need, and we asked for those evals from all the law enforcement people that go through, like, hey, what would you change? What would you do different, if anything? What didn't you like? What do you like? And reading those evals is very impactful. We tell people to be brutally honest. What didn't you like? And we tweaked it a little bit, but it's come down to just a phenomenal training that we got to give a lot of credit to the people, Katie, Doug Christensen, Alicia Brundage from our department, very passionate about mental health, and that teamwork puts on a training that is now, I think, recognized throughout the whole state.
Yeah, it's one thing I wanted to make sure to mention. Yeah. So I've noticed that myself.
So
it's empowering to see.
Well, and we can talk about mental health for hours, and how that has become such a huge role in law enforcement, and it will continue to be that way. And I think we can be better law enforcement officers by attending this training and continuing it. Now that we're not, it's not like a basic class, but now we're looking at and putting on advanced CIT courses that we're going to start hosting because so many of our local people went through it. All right, now let's go through an advanced course. Maybe there's some things that have changed, whether it's statutes in reference to mental health commitments, or just other stakeholders that have come to the plate to at least help us. So that's going to be happening this fall. We'll be offering advanced courses, but again, I can't say how much I'm proud of the fact that many of us embraced this and moved forward with this, and then just the community support. It's huge. Mental health is such a big, I want to say issue, but a concern, because it connects with so many other things, addiction, all that stuff. It comes together, and then you look at what we're doing in our jail. That all fits together. The mental health providers that we have in our jail, they're making a difference. They really are with our inmate population, and then the other stakeholders. We have a jail discharge planner that works under human services that connects people as they're leaving. So they don't come back. That's the big goal that we've talked about quite often. But just those inmate programming and all that stuff just fits, and we're very passionate about it, because I really feel that people do make mistakes. They'll do their time, but if they want help and we have it available to offer it, and they take advantage of it, and they go back out in the community and they work, they provide for family, themselves, we all win.
I'm living proof. I'm not in this chair if second chances don't happen and they don't work. So I'm certainly in favor of this one. But I've always appreciated since our very first conversation that mental health is something we say in an open voice, not in a hushed voice. I'm very proud of this community, of this area, that I have yet to have one listener, and trust me, our listeners will let me know if they don't like something, yet to hear from one person any pushback on when mental health comes up with any of our guests in any kind, whether it's our morning show or morning magazine or whoever is in with us. One of the things that I've also found interesting with this, and with us getting in more comfortable with this topic, having more things like this class, is the way the mental health affects children of criminals, people who say, your parent has committed a crime and they do time or what have you, how that affects children and the impact that has on them. Mm-hmm. And it's just fascinating to reading up on this stuff. And there's no statistic or no, A equals B or anything like that. For every kid that turns into a criminal themselves, there's 1,000 criminal or kids that turn into perfectly good citizens and all that. So there's no right, perfect way here, but it is this interesting data. And all this stuff adds to us doing what I think every single person out there listening wants: less crime. This all equals that. This all is a domino effect to getting more and more to that point. This is how we get there. We talk about these things. We don't, we face them head on. We are brave about them, and we are looking right in the eye and say, okay, how can we handle this? How can we do this?
Yeah,
it's it doesn't start though in getting to that place without things like this. Right. So it's really good to hear. It's just cool to hear, to be honest. Yeah.
No, like I said, I'll say it over and over. I'm very proud of the fact that our department helps put on this training and just to watch it grow. We talked about Brian Kraskowski in the beginning of the show. He comes in and has just an awesome story about his career and anniversary dates and how you work through those and anniversary dates of like tragedies.
Yeah.
And talk about it. And our mental health is huge. We lose way too many law enforcement officers, good law enforcement officers. They either end their career early, they don't get the help, and unfortunately the suicide rate for us is high. I've always said if we can't provide for our own, how can we expect them, to protect the public? It can be a hard job. Like we talked about a half hour ago. It's a dangerous job. Yeah. But there's a other side to it that unfortunately people don't consider, the mental health side of our first responders that deal with tragedies over and over again, and what can we do for them? And that's part of this training. It's not all of it, but it's one solid day, an emotional day, dealing with how we can help ourselves work through tough situations. And for law enforcement officers, whether female or male, and we can be stubborn and say, "Oh no, I'm fine." Hey, I'm okay with that. Well, maybe you're not, and it's okay. It is okay to talk to a peer support person that's at the agency, your chaplain, or a professional. I use them all. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong with it.
I mean, just even extending this even past officers in society, especially as men. Mm-hmm. All three of us in this room had happened to us as kids. We scraped our knee or something like that. What were we told? Walk it off.
Right.
Just keep moving. So we take that into our mental, issues, scraped knees as well. And it getting better about that as a society of being more accepting of this stuff, talking about these things. Hey, I got a scraped knee. It's okay to have a pain. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make you weak because you feel pain. It doesn't make you weak, because in fact it's the exact opposite. Mm-hmm. The bravest people I know in this world have always been able to face these things.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a great point. I don't want you to focus just on us, but it's everybody, whether it's female or male. It's okay to get help. It is okay to ask for help.
I feel like it has a trickle-down effect. Mm-hmm. If we get better about this as a society, we're going to be more understanding of what our officers go through, what firefighters go through, EMTs, all these things. The empathy, we need more empathy in society. And I think this helps create that.
No, I completely agree with you. I really do. So, yeah. The other thing I wanted to bring up is Senate Bill 507. I don't know if anybody saw or if you saw our Facebook page, but Governor Evers was in town recently, and another tragic story, but it's going to have very soon a happy ending. All right. Deputy LaVon Zenner in 1989, she was a newly hired deputy. working patrol. She was on her way from Marshfield to Wisconsin Rapids to meet her training officer, and unfortunately was involved in a tragic car crash and lost her life. She was in uniform, and many of our people at the time, responded to that scene, saw her uniform. It took her a while to get removed from the car, and then transported to St. Joseph's Hospital, where she passed. And that's kind of, when I started here, I didn't hear anything about this tragedy, and I found, I didn't. We had found a picture of her in just a frame, and then we started asking questions, and then Sarah McCormick really took lead on this, and we started just talking about, hey, we should maybe where the crash happened, name that area, that roadway after Levon, and we found out pretty quickly it wasn't that easy to do, especially when it being, a U.S. Highway 10, and then the construction part, the road changed, and anyway, so we found out we needed to get a lot of support to name, part of a road after somebody, especially, like I said, U.S. Highway. So it had to go through our local legislators, first our county board, and I want to thank them first for supporting this. All of our county board supported this initiative to try to name, part of a roadway after Levon. And then moving from there, our local representatives, Donna Rosar, a very, very big part of it. She's also on county board. And then our state senators, all the way up to the governor. You had to have all that support. And we did. Representative John Spiros, just people, once they found the information, it was like, oh, yeah, we need to do this. Now, not the tricky part of it, but the area that the crash occurred, the highway was already named after the Vietnam veterans. So what can we do? We're not obviously going to take that away. And DOT, Department of Transportation, told us, well, why don't you name the bridge at County Highway A and Highway 10? And that's a very popular area. And we're like, yeah, that's close to where the tragedy occurred. Let's do that. So that's what Senate Bill 507 is all about. The governor came up here and signed it last week, and we're working with DOT now to get the signage up. Hopefully within the next month or two we'll have that, and then we'll do a dedication for Levon. We've got family that have been very supportive of this, and we're going to move forward with that. Something that probably should have been done quite a few years ago, but it's happening, and like I said, a huge shout out to our local representatives all the way up to the governor, our county board members, and a huge shout out to Sarah. Talking about it like 3 years ago, I just told her, hey, run with it. We want to do something. The first thing we did is put her picture up at the wall, and then did some social media announcements about her. And then we would get comments from people that worked with her and remembered her from those many years ago, and it just continued from there. And that was a question Governor Evers asked us, well, why are we here? And it's got a story behind it. Unfortunately, it's part of a tragedy, but we're getting the opportunity now to remember her and do something right. This needed to happen a while ago, but again, Sarah, great job. We're almost there. Hopefully, shortly we'll have the signs up and we'll do a dedication for Levon.
You started off today talking about it being a family, a team. The officers, whether they are in county or not, whether it is a police department or a sheriff's department, you guys are all a family. And so when this bridge is named after her, it's certainly first and foremost her memory, her friends and family. What that's going to mean to them, I don't have words for. There are no words to describe. I have to think too, though, as another silver lining to this. If I'm an officer, if I'm anybody driving past that bridge, driving over it, I feel good from that too. I feel like there's some representation going on there. There's some respect being given there, and that again, the positive all around. There's nothing but positives to this. I do want to encourage the audience to go to WRCDTimes.com. Chris Leinart, a good friend of ours, did a great job with that article. Really nice piece. That's where I first heard about this.
Yeah, no, she reached out to Sarah and I and just did a awesome story on it.
Chris does good work.
Yeah, she does. And she reached out to family. I know other local media covered this, nor there, but she took that story and put it, on paper and or the internet, so we all can see it. And she did just a outstanding story, talking about Levon and getting the opportunity to talk to family members and how they felt about what we're doing. But huge shout out to Chris. Thank you.
And also bringing awareness to a topic of how we lost her. And trying to prevent that kind of thing from happening again, too, because that's still an issue in 2022, that kind of thing. So it has a lot of layers to it. Great work by everybody involved in this, and just appreciative.
Yeah, you think it's, quite easy to go through that process. It takes time. But we're almost there.
And we're looking forward to finishing this and getting to the finish line on that. We will take our last quick break, and then we'll be back with more with the Wood County Sheriff's Department here on Morning Magazine, WFHR, locally grown radio. James. Morning Magazine on WFHR. We're speaking with Sheriff Shawn Becker from the Wood County Sheriff's Department, and we have Joe, our friends from Wisconsin Rapids Community Media, in. We've got about 10 minutes left, sir. Sure. Where would you like to go?
Recently, we had a badge printing ceremony, and what we have been doing the last few years, anybody that gets promoted to a leadership position, we would hold a ceremony where we'd get that just gives the department an opportunity to, number one, get together, and number two, recognize a promotion into a leadership role. Well, with COVID, we couldn't do that the last couple of years, and we just, because we quite a few people come to these to recognize the person that was promoted. So finally, I wouldn't say we got the all clear, but we are comfortable enough to have a department get together. So we put it together. We had quite a few promotions, like 8 of them in the last 2 years, just with the department movement and stuff, working with the promotions in our jail and to the road, and then within our investigation division. So the list was building, and it's like our administration team kept talking. We've got to get this done. These promotions, the people that earned them deserve this. Their family deserves it. Yeah. I'll get to that in a minute. So a big shout out to Pittsville Fire Department. They're right in the middle of the county. Chief Jerry Miner offered up their awesome facility to have that, and we had about 70 people come. Nice. So we recognized Sergeant Heather Burr in our jail, Lieutenant Tony Bastine in our jail, Sergeant Justice Arndt, Sergeant Brandon Christensen, Lieutenant Scott Goldberg, Sergeant Eric Rosendich, and Lieutenant Nate Dean. So how this went is we started off doing the Pledge of Allegiance, and a lot of the kids that came let us off with that, and had some opening remarks. And then I told all the people that were getting their new badge, I would hand it to them, and then you pick who you want to have pinned on your uniform. And what was so gratifying for us to see as administrators, everyone picked somebody from their family, whether it was a spouse or a child, came up and did that. And then some of them said some kind words about their family and that support. And we all talked about that even more. Like I said, we had about 70 people come, and we just had a dinner put on that we all put on together, and just had the opportunity for everybody to get there and show not only the support for these promotions, these leadership positions that are so important for our team, but the family and how much we count on them supporting us. That was very gratifying. I went through that when I took office and had my wife and both, my wife Julie and both daughters come up and do that in front of everybody, and it was so gratifying, to remember that moment, and then to see everybody do something similar, and that was really nice. It's unfortunate. I told everybody I'm really sorry. It took 2 years to do, but it's a pandemic.
Understandable.
Yeah. And I believe everybody did understand that, and we got there, and it was just a great department moment that we got to share. And then Nate Dean was involved in that. Lieutenant Nate Dean was involved in the tragedy up in Arpin a while ago, and he was recognized by the WPPA, the Wisconsin Professional Police Association, for his heroism in that incident and what he did during that and after that incident. So Lieutenant Ted Connect from the Marathon County Sheriff's Department, who's representing WPPA, got the opportunity to recognize Nate, and we talked about that, that situation and the impact it had not only on our agency, but our families. So it was just a moment that I'll never forget, that our department got to share with the families. So it was a great moment to see that many people there.
Thank you for letting us share in that moment and bringing that to us. And nice to hear that we're able to get it back. After the last couple of years and everything.
No, a lot of great leadership positions that people have attained, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work with them on that level. Right now, Brian Peterson, he's one of our lieutenants that oversees our courthouse security. He's in Georgia at a 2-week training that Homeland Security puts on. It's completely grant-funded, and he's the third person from our agency to go. Brian's been doing just a phenomenal job with our courthouse security, something that was new. Our county board stepped up and said, okay, we're going to do this, and it makes all of our community safer and the county employees. But Brian's just been doing a phenomenal job, and I'm looking forward to him coming back to implement or continue to do the leadership things that he's learned in the last couple weeks. So it's a great opportunity for him to go, but he's just doing an awesome job. I tell people, if you look at our public safety committee online, the reports we do, and Brian does a monthly report on what he prevents or what his team prevents coming into the courthouse. It's amazing. Between firearms, knives, OC, drugs, that they're preventing to come in the courthouse. It just tells me that if we didn't implement this, we were living on borrowed time. We would have had a major incident happen in our courthouse. So,
like we talked about when it was first implemented, when it was first thought of and everything, this is an opportunity, for one of the few opportunities to play offense and not defense. And as we're hearing more and more, as when Brian joined us, and you hear just what the sheriff was saying right there, it's a darn good thing that we got some offense going. You don't want it to wait until a tragedy happens. We don't get to do that enough in society. It feels good that we have a situation like that where we're able to, at least.
No, and you go back to our county board, taking a look at this, and there's a cost associated with it, but you have to weigh the need, and it's just like with the jail, and you do the research, you look at it. Is it the right time? Is this something we should do? And I really have to commend our county board for the approach that they've taken on both of these topics. It does cost the taxpayers money, but look at the long-term effects, and what we should be doing. So, So I'm looking forward to Brian coming back. He's not on vacation. He's at training. It's nice to give our leaders the opportunity to go somewhere else and look at other leadership thoughts, ideas, and the networking, because this course is people are coming from all over the country going through it. It's awesome that Homeland Security gives the opportunity for other law enforcement agencies to come in and learn from them.
I was going to say that off air. I think that's pretty cool they offer that. That's awesome.
Yeah, another one, too, coming up. We have Lieutenant Nate Dean going to the FBI Academy. Another extremely prestigious opportunity for not only just him as an individual, as a leader, but our department to get the leadership, thoughts, ideas from the FBI and bring that back locally. You see a lot of other agencies get that opportunity, and we haven't sent somebody since Kurt Hoyer when he was sheriff.
Wow.
Now it's a few years ago. So, I'm very happy that the FBI included us, and we had somebody that's got the opportunity to go to. It's a several-week course that Nate will be gone, but it'll be great. We'll talk more about that later. Yeah,
looking forward to it. Now, we always appreciate the conversation, everything you bring to us, the transparency. I know it's been a hard couple of days for you, sir, and a hard job for you and everything. I always try to find a way to kind of bring a light moment here. Baseball is back.
Yep.
That feels good.
I forgot some cards. Sorry.
No, that's all right. But we do have this new thing with the universal DH, and I had to get your take on that. How do you feel about that?
I'm an American League guy.
Yeah.
Growing up, we talked about it. A big White Sox fan. The Brewers were in the American League when we relocated to Central Wisconsin. So I'm not totally opposed to it. I know old school baseball probably will disagree with me, but it seems like every year or so things are changing with rules. Even with the NFL, it's like things are being modified, like in overtime now for the NFL. Yeah. It's like things are changing, so it's a change.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Now you got both sides, the National League and the American League, consistent. They're the same, so there shouldn't be any questions. When you get to the World Series and playoffs and stuff, it's like, all right, it's there.
I do. I'm right with you on this. At first, I kind of pushed back on it. The more and more I look into it and think about it, for one, we can't change it anyway. But also, I do like the idea of some of my favorite hitters getting to stick around a little bit longer, like a Paul Konerko or somebody like that that gets to stay in the league maybe another season or something, which isn't bad. That never hurts.
No.
I kind of miss a little bit of those fun moments when you had a Bartolo Colon, a CC Sabathia, somebody like that batting. But I think we can live without
batting
that.
Average like 29.
Yeah.
Hey, here's an easy out.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how going forward how it goes.
Yeah, I think it's just a change. I watched a recent show real quick on Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire and that whole. Great show. Obviously with the what was happening with the performance enhancing drugs, but just gave a really good perspective of that era and how that brought baseball back. Something I'll never forget, and getting really excited about baseball. Seeing home runs, and you assume something's probably going on, but the support was still there. And then you look at the aftermath, and that was interesting to hear too from both those players and others.
It was a good documentary.
It was really good.
This was a good conversation. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for the time, sir, and thank you for everything you do for our communities. Keep up the great work. Stay safe out there.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to talking again real soon.
Me too.
And a big thank you to Joe and our friends at Wisconsin Rapids Community Media. Always appreciate you guys. Stick around. We'll have Over the Back Fence coming up for you.